Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into an exciting topic. Have you ever wondered if she was actually flirting with you? On this first slide, I want to set the stage for what's to come. We'll explore how to recognize genuine attraction versus politeness, using reliable psychological cues and patterns. I'll give you a sneak peek. By the end of this session, you'll have tools to cut through the social fog and better understand those subtle signals. So let's get started. So, what this slide is really highlighting is how your hopes and insecurities can influence the way you interpret her behavior. Sometimes, what you expect or want to see can distort your perception of her actions. For example, good manners and romantic attraction can often look very similar on the surface, making it tricky to tell if someone is genuinely interested or just being polite. Similarly, warmth and genuine interest might seem alike, but they're not always the same. Someone might be kind and friendly without necessarily wanting something romantic. And kindness itself can easily be mistaken for affection, especially early on when signals are more subtle. This is why understanding the underlying psychology is so important. Things like body language, tone of voice, attention, and consistent behavior patterns. Women often communicate indirectly, especially in the early stages of connection. That means we need to pay close attention to what's really going on beneath the surface. Remember, politeness might sound like interest, and kindness could look like affection, but your own expectations, hopes, or insecurities can make it even harder to tell the difference. Recognizing this helps us approach these interactions with more clarity and less misinterpretation. Let's explore the key difference here. A friendly woman makes you feel welcome, creating a sense of comfort and ease. On the other hand, a flirting woman makes you feel noticed, often sparking tension, connection, and a sense of possibility. The important thing to remember is that flirtation is charged. It brings an emotional or physical energy that can lead to new connections. Friendliness, by contrast, is more about comfort, respect, and social harmony. It's neutral, non-threatening, and nurturing. At its core, understanding this difference helps us navigate social interactions more effectively. Recognizing whether someone is flirting or just being friendly can drastically change how we respond and connect. This distinction is essential because it influences how we build relationships, set boundaries, and communicate our intentions. So, as we go through this presentation, keep in mind that flirtation involves a certain charge, while friendliness is about creating a safe and respectful environment. Friendliness ends when the context ends. Flirting, on the other hand, tries to keep the moment alive. She might find reasons to stay longer, suggest doing something together, message you first, or react to your stories or posts. This shows interest because she wants connection. Politeness, however, is more about closing the interaction politely. She makes efforts to continue the interaction, and this is subtle but powerful. Studies indicate that women often shift to a warmer, softer, or more animated tone when they're attracted to someone. You might notice her laugh becomes more frequent, her energy noticeably rises. Tone reveals what words might hide, so paying attention to her voice can give you important clues. Healthy flirting also includes an element of fun tension. She might gently tease you, joke in a more personal way, or add a touch of sarcasm in a warm tone. This helps lower the pressure and increases the sense of connection between you. Flirting often shows through micro-behaviors. She might lean in when you speak, turn her body fully toward you, play with her hair or jewelry, maintain soft, consistent eye contact, or mirror your gestures. These are signs of openness, comfort, and attraction on a psychological level. Friendliness is common to many women, but flirting involves selective attention. She keeps the conversation going, asks follow-up questions, remembers details about you, and circles back to talk again. This investment in the interaction signals genuine interest. Finally, these cues are what most psychologists agree signal real romantic interest. One sign alone isn't enough, but when you see a cluster of these behaviors, it almost always indicates she's actually flirting. When we talk about kindness, it's important to remember that it is universal. Everyone can recognize and appreciate genuine kindness. However, attraction is more specific. It varies from person to person and is often expressed through certain behaviors. For example, if someone shows no desire to continue the interaction later, that's usually a sign they're not interested in pursuing something romantic. They might leave the conversation naturally and easily, without any fuss. Maintaining polite but minimal eye contact can also be a subtle indicator. It shows friendliness without romantic interest. Short or shallow answers are often a way of keeping the interaction brief and polite, not necessarily indicating anything more. Keeping a respectful physical distance is another sign. It's about comfort levels and boundaries. And importantly, treating everyone the same way, being friendly and courteous to all, is a key point. She's probably just being friendly if she exhibits these behaviors. Not every warm interaction means someone is romantically interested. Sometimes, it's simply good social etiquette, a way of being polite and kind. So, when you see these signs, remember, they're often just signals of friendliness. They help us distinguish between genuine interest and friendly behavior, which is crucial for understanding social cues in different contexts. Now, let's look at how people communicate their interest and friendliness through their actions. First, consider someone who collaborates, helps, and communicates clearly, showing professional friendliness. But if she goes out of her way to see you, makes excuses to talk, or discusses topics beyond work, there might be more beneath the surface. Next, think about the coworker who laughs at your jokes and enjoys hanging out. Friendly behavior. However, if she touches your arm, looks at you longer than necessary, or gets nervous around you, that likely indicates interest. Then there's the female friend who smiles, asks how your day is, and remembers your order, probably just friendly. But if she asks personal questions, notices changes in your appearance, or starts conversations beyond simple transactions, that could mean she's flirting. Finally, a barista who interacts with you in a friendly way is often just doing her job. But if she asks personal questions or shows extra interest, it might be something more. So, these examples help us decode the situation by paying attention to the subtle differences in behavior. Understanding these cues allows us to interpret genuine interest versus friendly gestures more accurately. A single kind smile or a polite laugh on its own doesn't really tell us much. It's easy to mistake a moment of politeness for genuine interest, but what really matters is the pattern over time. When we see a consistent pattern of connection, small moments of emotional intimacy, repeated efforts to connect, and showing steady attention, that's when we can start to interpret genuine interest. It's important to remember that flirting isn't just about one gesture or one smile. It's about a pattern of behavior. A woman who is truly attracted to someone will show consistency in her actions. The key rule here is, look for consistency, not just a single moment. That's what really reveals genuine interest. So, instead of focusing on isolated gestures, pay attention to the overall pattern. That's how you can tell if there's real attraction behind the interactions. When trying to understand her intentions, it's helpful to notice how she behaves consistently over time. Does she flirt with you often, and do you really feel that difference in her energy? If she's just being friendly, things tend to stay pretty neutral, no mixed signals. Next, consider her consistency. Is she making an effort to keep the interactions going? Does she go out of her way to initiate conversations or meet up? That kind of deliberate effort can be a strong indicator of her interest. Then, think about her investment. Is she investing her time and energy into connecting with you? Does she seem genuinely engaged when you talk? These actions can tell you a lot about her true intentions. And when you're in doubt, remember that decoding whether she's flirting or just being friendly isn't about overthinking every little move. It's about learning to read her intent, her energy, and her patterns over time. The key takeaway here is to focus on patterns and consistency rather than isolated actions. This approach helps you get a clearer picture without jumping to conclusions. Ultimately, understanding her behavior is about learning to read the signals she's sending, so you can navigate the situation with confidence and clarity. Clarity comes from observation, not assumption. Many times, we jump to conclusions based on what we think we see, but the truth is, understanding someone's intentions requires careful watching. The key to figuring out if she's flirting or just being friendly is to observe her behavior closely over time. Rather than making quick guesses, pay attention to patterns, how consistent her actions are, and the overall energy she brings into your interactions. Trust what you notice, and avoid jumping to conclusions based on a single moment. When you do this, clarity naturally emerges. Remember, the core message here is that clarity comes from observation, not assumption. By practicing this, you'll develop a better sense of genuine understanding and avoid unnecessary misunderstandings.